It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to a special edition of Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 23rd day of August, 2020. And of course, as you might expect, the special edition is weather related. A lot has happened since broadcast yesterday. Specifically with, most importantly with Marco, which is currently still Tropical Storm Marco. It is expected to be a hurricane literally anytime now. The 11 AM advisory, it's at 70 miles an hour, so it's only 4 miles an hour away from hurricane status. 993 millibars on the central pressure. It's moving north-northwest at 14 miles an hour. Now, what's changed about Marco is yesterday we were looking at Marco encountering the Yucatan Peninsula, and we didn't know how much of the Yucatan Peninsula would be impacted and how long it would be over land, but that was expected to slow Marco down, possibly limit its intensification, so that by the time it got up to the Gulf Coast, and at that time was expected to be somewhere around Houston or the Texas edge of the Gulf Coast, it was questionable whether it would be hurricane status or not. Well, it took a little zig on the pattern. It missed the Yucatan Peninsula completely. It kind of threaded its way through that little needle of water between the Yucatan Peninsula and the western coast of Cuba and stayed over water and continued to intensify and speed up. So where this was supposed to be getting to the Gulf Coast over there toward in Texas, now the path has been moved where it looks like it's going to hit in the New Orleans area. Now, when I say New Orleans, folks, I realize that New Orleans is inland a bit up the river. New Orleans is not a coastal town where landfall occurs. I'm saying that as a general rule because we look at New Orleans, especially with its long history, especially with 15 years this week from Hurricane Katrina, which just devastated that area. But now we're looking at what definitely Marco will be a hurricane later on today. By the time it gets there, it's going to be hurricane status. Now, what's going to happen then is still up in the air a bit, as there's some wind shear involved that's probably going to cause, number one, the strength of this storm, even though it's relatively small. The heaviest rain and wind will be on the east side. So it's going to impact probably everything from like maybe as far east as Tallahassee, Florida, over through Alabama and Mississippi, and all of Louisiana is going to get drenched. And there'll be some significant wind and storm surge as well along the coast. And then we're kind of expecting it to skirt along the coast of Louisiana and head toward the Texas state line and come inland somewhere along in there. But the impact is going to be felt definitely by New Orleans. Now, let's slide over to Lara. Lara, we thought yesterday when I was on the air, would possibly move in a general path and maybe miss a good bit of the lands of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, and Cuba, and intensify and get to the Gulf Coast about the same time as Marco was expected. That, however, we've had a little bit of a change in plans on that. as it did just bang the heck out of Puerto Rico yesterday. This morning, Dominican Republic and Haiti. It's over Haiti right now, about to leave Hispaniola and go across that little short piece of land and head into Cuba. And then it depends on how long it's going to be over Cuba as to how much the being over land is going to slow it down and weaken it. This storm is different from Marco. This is a huge storm. It goes out some 140 miles from its center, while Marco's only like 60 miles from the center. But Lara is a much larger storm, so the experts are saying that even this landfall is not going to weaken it terribly. And once it gets past Cuba, whether it's a short term over Cuba or it goes the entire length of the island of Cuba and its mountains, once it gets to the Gulf, extremely warm weather or warm water and perfect conditions to rapidly intensify. And it's expected to hit the Gulf Coast. It could be right at New Orleans again a couple days later, a day and a half to 2 days later. It could go as far east as like Pascagoula, Mississippi. More likely, it's going to be a little further to the west, maybe towards St. Charles, Louisiana, could go over to the Texas coast, but still in that same vicinity. And this one is expected to be a Cat 2 when it hits. So you're looking at 100-mile-an-hour winds on the Gulf Coast. So you've got Lara, which is going to hit later on in the week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, when it really starts impacting the Gulf Coast. And you got Marco that should be a hurricane, maybe at the next update from the National Hurricane Center, which will probably hit as a Category 1 somewhere in the vicinity of New Orleans along the Louisiana coast. Start impacting there tomorrow. So all you guys down in the Gulf Coast area, hunker down and be ready, because it's not going to be a pleasant week in that area. Now, a couple other things just to make mention of. Out in the Gulf, they're talking about 30-foot waves. Now, I've been in a storm out in the Gulf, a bad one. It was before Katrina. It was a couple, 3 weeks before Katrina was Hurricane Dennis, which hit New Orleans before Katrina did. And that was a bad hurricane that we were chased around out in the Gulf. I wasn't anything near 30-foot waves. They're talking about 30-foot waves on this sucker, which that could be some damage to the oil rigs and stuff that are out there. That's just a lot of things can go wrong with this. So all you folks along that area, please be mindful of what's happening. Stay in tune with the Weather Channel and your local news to follow what's going on and pay attention to all the updates you're getting from the emergency management folks with evacuations and things like that. I'll be back tomorrow morning with an update, travel and cruise industry news at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow. If anything major breaks between now and then, I'll come back on again with a special edition or breaking news broadcast. As always, folks, appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to keep up with the latest in travel and cruise industry news, hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. The bell notification will tell you when I go live or when I post a new video. That's it for today on a special edition of Travel and Cruise Industry News, as New Orleans hunkers down for the possibility of 2 hurricanes hitting there this week. That's it for now. This is Chillie, the Fat Travel Guy. Later, y'all. Stay safe.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.